Good evening. Welcome to the Vintage Virtual Coffee House. I'm Rick Wilson, the faculty advisor for Vintage, the Wheatley School's highly decorated and nationally award-winning literary magazine. We are pleased to have you joining us for this special launch event of this year's magazine, either right now on June 10, 2020, as the link goes live, or at any point you might be tuning in. On March 13th, Governor Cuomo ordered all New York schools' physical locations closed due to the rapidly spreading coronavirus pandemic and decimating impacts of COVID-19. As we walked out of our school, this year's magazine was at a critical place of development. This was incredibly disappointing to this year's staff because it is a banner year of celebration, the 50th anniversary of the magazine's existence. For 50 years, Vintage has cultivated student writing and art. It has provided countless platforms for publishing and performance by Wheatley's poets, fiction writers, essayists, artists, photographers, singers, and instrumentalists. Even tonight, we debut a young filmmaker. We believe deeply in the unstoppable creative spirit, and we foster and amplify that creativity whenever and wherever we can. We were worried as we left in March that Vintage would have to be a digital version this year. We are proud to say, though, that the unstoppable human creativity has prevailed, and the 50th anniversary edition is available for purchase at the front desk at the Wheatley School until June 25th. You can go to the Wheatley PTO's Venmo account and purchase it there. Just remember to put in Vintage as you make your purchase. This year's magazine contains 42 poems, 10 short stories, 4 essays, 4 satires, 3 memoirs, and 82 visual pieces of art. It even includes a short COVID-19 section, small but appropriate, as our student body reacted with their words and art to all that was going on in the world around them. Our editorial staff has worked tirelessly to bring you not only this year's magazine, but tonight's virtual coffee house. I'd like to now introduce you to this year's Editor-in-Chief, Padraig Brady, winner of the Wheatley's Creative Writing Award this year, as he will tell you more about tonight's program.
Thank you, Mr. Wilson, and thank you to everyone for tuning in to celebrate our writers and musicians of Wheatley. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Padraig Brady. I'm a senior, and I am this year's editor-in-chief of Vintage for our 50th anniversary edition. It was a joy and privilege to be the editor-in-chief this year, and the Vintage Club as a whole would like to wish everyone good health in this time of crisis, and we hope everyone's well in these tough circumstances. And today with my co-host Allie, we'll be introducing all of our Wheatley performers.
Hi everyone, my name's Allie Keller. I'm a senior and I'm this year's editor-at-large of Vintage. Welcome to our screening of this year's annual coffee house. Over the course of this video, you will be hearing Wheatley's own writers reading their Vintage published works, as well as some singers and instrumentalists. We hope that you enjoy, and that this virtual coffee house and our celebratory 50th magazine will boost some spirits as our artists in residence take the virtual stage. First, we will be hearing Kritika Prajapati perform Finding Wonderland by Jack Murphy.
We move too fast, we miss so much, we seldom see all the miracles in front of us. A warm embrace, a human touch, and so it goes. I race around, search high and low for the truth I used to know, when there was magic to be found. 'Cause finding Wonderland is taking time to see the child within who's always been there, smiling back at me. So when I close my eyes, I just remember, and I can't help finding Wonderland. It's not too late. Here in my prime, hearts can unbreak in the story's nick of time. A happy ending, a perfect rhyme. 'Cause finding Wonderland is finding who you are, the child within who's always been there like a shining star. So when I close my eyes, I see forever, and I keep on finding Wonderland. Ordinary magic happens every single day. Wonderland is never far away. 'Cause finding Wonderland is going home again to feel the love another gives, and giving back. And then if you should lose your way, reach out for someone's hand, and you will be finding Wonderland. You'll be finding Wonderland.
Thanks, Kritika. That was beautiful. Next, we'll be having our editor of prose, Huda Ayaz, to introduce the next piece.
Thanks for that introduction. Next, let's listen to Kajal Kapoor's rendition of her poem, Smile.
Smile. It's true what they say, you know, about people. Those who never speak have the most to say. The ones who look the happiest hold back the most tears. The most kind and caring people have experienced the most cruel and horrid things. Sometimes I sit and wonder, why? What did we do to deserve this pain that gnaws at us with all of its being? How do we get to this point of sadness that it feels as though we're lying to every single person we know? Can it ever stop? Because I don't know if I can smile through it anymore. Thank you.
Thanks, Kajal. That piece was very powerful. Now we will be hearing Aiden Cozzolino, a senior who will be attending the Jacobs School of Music, Indiana University, on French horn. He will be playing Schumann's Traumerei on piano.
Thanks, Aiden. What will Wheatley's Jazz Band do without you next year? Next, we'll be hearing Malia Ayaz, our editor of poetry, performing her poem Greensleeves. Take it away, Malia.
Hi everyone, my name is Malia, and I'm the editor of poetry in Vintage. Today I'm going to be reading two poems. The first poem I'm going to be reading is from the fall edition of the magazine, which was special for this year because it's the 50th anniversary of Vintage. This poem is called Greensleeves. All the colors of the morning wind, the ignited fireflies that silently shriek in pain, the raindrops dancing against my umbrella with heavy steps, the burnt leaves held captive by the shallow puddles in chains. I wonder how they got there. Sometimes I dream that someone will come and hold thousands of dream catchers above me while I war with the night. Sometimes my dreams let me fall in love with being alive because they show me the best in this world, the best in me. Last night, I dreamt of being colored to be the brightest stained glass, to exist only for someone to rid me of my colors and shatter me to pieces. I felt my heart break while I was sleeping. Nothing can be worse than that. Under the skies where stars refuse to shine, I tossed the words that never left my mouth and let them rot at the back of my head like dead leaves clinging to numb trees. Those leaves have yet to turn green and say, I've survived, but there's a time for every bud to sprout, and it may not be now. There are times when I feel things that aren't even there, and when I feel things that should be recognized, I shove them away. It's moments like these when I let the autumn raindrops question me. It's moments like these when I want nothing more than to dance with them. It's moments like these when all I can do is thrash through the puddles and ask the fireflies to lead me to their homes. It's moments like these when I wonder what it's like to lay by the chained leaves. I wonder if I'll get there. And it's sad that the world's not all sunshine and rainbows. I imagine that if it were, I'd be lying under a dream catcher, watching the wildest of my dreams getting caught in the strings. Thank you.
Thanks, Malia. That was great. Now let's hear her sister, Huda, Vintage's editor of prose, perform her poem, Life's Unprecedented Leaps.
Hello, my name is Huda Ayaz. I am a junior and currently the editor of prose for the Vintage magazine. I'm going to be reading my poem, Life's Unprecedented Leaps. Junior year brings with it an internal struggle as you make choices for the future. Sometimes it's a soft step into unknown waters, wading safely at the edges and walking deeper and deeper until the water is knee-high. There's still an opportunity to retreat at the sense of dread, the sight of angry alligators or leeches lingering at your lapels. When the path is pellucid and terrain thoroughly tested, the water is to your neck. It's a simple step now into the secrets of the serene sea. Except, now well versed with the intricacies of each wave, the uncertainty is easier to bear. There's safety in this type of final plunge, the result of preparation and caution, but most times you'll find yourself tentatively treading onto feeble ice, glancing back to the crowd of faceless people pushing you on, some on the shore and some following the same way. Squinting back forward into the distance, the many people already past you on the brittle ice are in sight. You might catch them wince at your struggle, but the stair cease when you stumble. A gaping hole where the ice gave way is in sight right before you. The ice bends with the weight of so many, and wise intuition, the whisper of a warning, begs for reason. What do you want? Your toes hover over the hole now. One foot falters, but it's too late to take heed. Another wave of people pass, pushing you into the cold waters. Yet there's another side of the ice, black for miles and encased in fog. Don't go there, the crowd cancels. Untrodden paths are meant to stay that way. Except rumors recount of a greater happiness that lies in its mysteries. For some, the fear, the pressure, is enough to ward them away into the same hole. For others, it's enough to freeze them into familiar territory. Still, I wish to trod the untrodden dark, though I may near drown in my attempt for the light that feud sight. As indeed with hardship there is ease, and at one point with it arrives euphoria. Thank you.
That was great, Huda. Even though I may be leaving Vintage next year, I know that the club will continue to flourish with the Ayaz sisters. Now here's Maya, our editor of photography, to introduce the next performance.
Hi everyone! everyone! Our next performance is by senior Madison Ramos, and she will be performing her poem, When I Close My Eyes. Her poem can be found on page 96 of the magazine. Enjoy!
Hey everyone, my name is Maddie and I'm a senior here at Wheatley. Today I'm going to be reading my poem, When I Close My Eyes, and I hope you enjoy it as much as I enjoyed writing it. When I close my eyes. When I close my eyes, darkness evades me. Instead, I am faced with recurring regrets, reliving. A midnight canvas splattered with frightening memories, missed opportunities, wasted moments, awkward interactions, dreadful splotches, disconcertingly defining. When I close my eyes, I make a conscious effort. I blot, 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 dabbing away at retroactive stains. A futile effort. My mind repopulates with cringeworthy charades, scathing sentences, conversation catastrophes, haphazard handshakes. Every mistake leaps to the forefront of my mind. When I close my eyes, I reluctantly reflect. Echoes of the past vault into the present. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed, and of course, congratulations to Vintage, and congratulations to the class of 2020. Go seniors! Bye!
I've never related to anything more soulfully than that. Thanks, Maddie, for that awkward crisis. Now let's hear another senior, Maggie Corrado, perform her poem, The Glowing Morning Sun Across the Field. It was inspired by a sonnet unit done in AP Lit.
Hi everyone, my name is Maggie Corrado, and this is a Shakespearean sonnet that I wrote entitled The Glowing Morning Sun Across the Field. The glowing morning sun across the field, the sunrise holding nothing to thy face. Not one of us knew yet what this would yield. I never thought I'd be in such a place. The time I spent with thee was very brief. The length between our homes was very long. Nevertheless, to this I felt no grief. I thought our love would be forever strong. Our love was done as fast as it begun. Thy unsupportive parents were its end. The pain they caused could never be undone, but yet we had each other as a friend. In spite of the short life our love did live, to not one other my love I would give. Thank you.
Thanks, Maggie. Now we'll have our secretary, Lucy Jot, to introduce the next piece.
Hi everyone, my name is Charlotte Iannone, and today I'll be reading you my short story, Eternelle. If you'd like to read along, just check the table of contents in the magazine. Okay. She treated life like it was her own petty game, one where she was a vaudeville actress performing for whoever would flick her a dime. Her religion was self-improvement. She engrossed herself in the idea that she could continually better herself without consequence. Unfortunately, she became her own consequence. She flirted with everything that came her way, but never once fixed herself to one spot and declared that that was her ground. Her own hopes for herself became a double-edged blade that minced away at her past ambitions, ones she tossed to the floor like she was a petulant child playing with dolls. I doubted that she was afraid of anything, not even death. She relished in the adrenaline that lacerations from the scythe of death left her with, and counted her scars with pride. Riptides were only more the reason to swim, thunder only more the reason to frolic along the shore, and I, the fool, filled her footprints with my hesitant feet. She lived alone on a lane bordering the water in a petite white home that she filled with hundreds of plants. Not one windowsill was left bare, each cradled flower pots of herbs, cacti, and hopeful sprouts. She tended to them with the care of a mother, and shed honest tears at the sight of a mere wilted seedling. Her family, which she spoke of rarely, lived far inland and seemed to have given up on forcing her into doing anything seen as productive. I never pressed her on anything related to them. It made her irritable, and I dreaded her wrath. In any regard, patience had always been in my nature, and so I waited. My father won't speak to me anymore, she confessed to me one night on her balcony, catching me off guard. Why not? I asked softly, studying the way her lips twisted as she organized her thoughts. 3 years ago, she murmured, more to the sky than to me. My parents informed me that I was to be married. I did not take it well, if you could imagine. She laughed, swirling her wine slowly. If you think I am precocious now, you would be taken aback for the person I was then. She looked up, locking eyes with me and sending a harsh shiver rippling down my back. Her eyes were the most glorious I'd ever witnessed, twinkling cerulean, marred by flecks of bitter gray and gleaming with enigmas that even she knew not the answers to. Her pupils, though, were all-knowing. They had cleaved deep into my heart and learned of my greatest desires and fears, ones that I had barely even addressed myself. I, of course, heavily objected, she continued, her eyes still holding my gaze. He was a nice man who would have cared for me, but I had no interest. She smiled at me sadly. I may love to act, but I would rather bash my own head in than allow my own life to become a play. A lethargic gust blew through her flaxen locks, carrying with it the scent of the hanging wisteria reaching over the balcony's edge. I must admit, I let anger cloud me, she sighed, looking out over the railing and towards the water below. I packed my things that night, bid my mother goodbye, and bought a train ticket for any small fishing town that I could think of. She stood up and strode to the edge, surveying her kingdom below, this pitiful town that hailed her as its matron goddess. It must have been fate that you ended up here, I interjected, and she turned to face me, her expression unreadable. My heart palpitated as she made her way back towards me, her long skirts swishing around her bare feet. She perched herself upon the armrest of my wicker chair, reducing the distance between us to mere inches and beaving my lungs of their breath. I'm thankful that it did so guide you. I am too, she whispered. After that conversation, my dreams became a fever of her holy eyes. We continued as we had been, though she seemed to sense that we were on the precipice of change. Some nights I would wake to her standing over me, begging me to come with her. I complied, of course, and found myself being pulled along aimlessly into the centers of meandering roads. There we would waltz to an unheard tune, one that she curated with the slap of her bare feet on the muddy pavement. She used to say that we were like the fairies in the tales her housekeeper would weave for her, mischievous little sprites that never meant any harm nor good fortune. Sometimes headlights would ignite the silent air around us, and even if I hurried into the thickets along the side of the road, she would remain. I would watch her enthralled as she twirled in death's palm, her features glowing a ghostly alabaster in the artificial light. In those little moments, I fell in love. Fear may seem to be the greatest threat to some, but he is not as strong as he seems. Death, though prepared to shed blood at any given moment, can be a friend. But love, elusive love, will poison your heart and possess you in the oddest of ways. The yearning that gripped my heart led me towards my end at a pace that I could never have imagined. All of the judgment and sensibility that had once been my greatest strength had vanished. Fear escaped me and left me with a clear choice, and so I told her of the beauty in her walk, of the elegance of her dainty fingers, and of the way that she made me feel. All I could ever desire is to know the secrets that your eyes hold, I said, and she looked down, her brow pensive. I paused, and all I could ever need is you. Zeus's bolt of passion struck her then, and in her embrace I finally knew what serenity truly was. All of nature was with me in those seconds, the stars bright, the sea still, the breeze saccharine. Everything was right and just. Now, in my bed, she whispers any little anecdote that appears to her into my ear, and I hold them dear to my heart. And in the light of morning, as she fixes my unruly tangles into a neat updo, I tell her of all she means to me. During the afternoon, we share an understanding in silent moments, a bond of trust and compassion and love in its rawest form. And in the twilight, she tells me of her greatest fear, losing me. The twilight is where we dwell, and where I tell her that I love her. And as the day fades into nothingness, she tells me the same. Thank you, and congratulations to everyone who was accepted into the Vintage magazine. Stay strong, Wheatley.
Merci, Charlotte. I wish I could pronounce your poem's name. Speaking of things I can't pronounce, now we will be hearing our very own dashing editor perform and announce his piece.
Hi, my name is Padraig, and I'm going to be reading my poem Asling Nanahindakhta, which for reference can be found on page 178 of the magazine. So the title Asling Nanahindakhta means a dream of Unity Day, and it refers to a day in the future that will hopefully come when both sides of the island of Ireland, North and South, vote in a referendum to reunite. So that this it ties in some old Irish mythology and kind of some poetic references to people like Yeats with the last line, and hope you enjoy. On a dreary evening, Makalu places his hand on destiny and asks her to light the way. Despite her opaque slumber within the stone, Mother Ada stirs, for she knows her day will come, for she knows her day will come. She shows him a vision of a day like no other, when the north wind carries ballads of the ballads, when Mother Ada stands radiant atop the steps of Stormont and reaches her hand to all those who once lay siege to her children, when dance and drink from Kirky to Dura carry the calm of the Tuatha in their trodden field tombs, when the fairies are abuzz in the deep peat bogs as na Shanrihe walk Trasan Nadonta to Mother Ada's rocky shores. Makalu cries for all he fights for is won, and he knows the day is coming, and he knows the day is coming. For every Gael will have a place to travel to Ashanchi's tales in the crackling bonfires of silent villages, for Bealtaine flames that burn luminescent as the ancestors whisper through the plasma, their hunger for laughter appeased. Makalu sees it all from the wings of Baive, cackling melodically on wings as dark as famine nights. She floats unsung from Bayaklia to Belfarsche, through the rippling portal of Tirnanog. Back to the present, back to the stone where Makalu swears he'll see the dawn. For the day has not yet come, for the day has not yet come. He remembers why he fights, and those who came before, and all those who will live to joyously see that a terrible beauty is born. Thank you. Thanks again so much for listening. Even if you might not be familiar with all the words I used, I hope I could provide a window into my perspective of the future of my culture. Now we'll have Kaylee Fiorillo singing Haley by Beyonce.
Remember those walls I built? Well, baby, they're tumbling down. They didn't even put up a fight. They didn't even make a sound. I found a way to let you in, but I never really had a doubt. Standing in the light of your halo, I got my angel now. It's like I've been awakened. Every rule I had you breaking. It's the risk that I'm taking. I ain't never gonna shut you out. Everywhere I'm looking now, I'm surrounded by your embrace. Baby, I can feel your halo. I pray it won't fade away. You're everything I need and more. It's written all over your face. Baby, I can feel your halo. I pray it won't fade away. Halo, I can feel your halo. Halo, I can feel your halo. Halo, halo. Ooh, it hit me like a ray of sun, burning through my darkest nights. You're the only one that I want. Think I'm addicted to your light. I swore I'd never fall again, but it don't even feel like falling. Gravity can't begin to pull me back to the ground again. It's like I've been awakened. Every rule I had you breaking. It's the risk that I'm taking. I ain't never gonna shut you out. Everywhere I'm looking now, I'm surrounded by your embrace. Baby, I can feel your halo. You know you're my saving grace. You're everything I need and more. It's written all over your face. Baby, I can feel your halo. Ooh, ooh, ooh.
thank you, Kaylee. Wow, what a voice. Kaylee was cast to play the character Wednesday in the Wheatley Theatre Company's production of The Addams Family this spring. Sadly, it was another disappointing loss, not only to our cast, but our community, not to have this special annual experience. I speak on behalf of Miss Callio and Mrs. Luftig, who are incredibly proud of the artistic work being achieved by the cast. I myself was conducting the pit orchestra, and I too got to be one of very few witnesses to the incredible music our student musicians were producing. We're so glad Kaylee is celebrating with us tonight. Next, we have a scene from Shakespeare's A Midsummer Night's Dream. These are actually two of my students from English 8. Grace Wong playing the role of Hermia, and Mahir Kaslawal playing Lysander. Hermia and Lysander are in love. They have run away from Athens because Hermia's father has refused to let them marry. They have been lost in the woods for hours. Lysander has an idea that maybe they should just sleep. Just sleep. Until the morning light.
For love, you faint with wandering in the wood, and to speak troth, I have forgot our way. Rest us, Hermia, if you think it good, and tarry for the comfort of the day.
Be it so, Lysander. Find you out to bed, for I upon this bank will rest my head.
One turf shall serve as a pillow for us both, one heart, one bed, two bosoms, and one troth.
Nay, good Lysander, for my sake, my dear, lie further off yet, do not lie so near.
Oh, take the sense, sweet, of my innocence. Love takes the meaning in love's conference. I mean that my heart unto yours is knit, so that but one heart we can make of it, two bosoms interchained with an oath, so then two bosoms and a single troth. Then, by your side, no bedroom me deny, for lying so, Hermia, I do not lie.
Lysander riddles very prettily. Now much beshrew my manner and my pride, if Hermia meant to say Lysander lied. But gentle friend, for love and courtesy, lie further off in human modesty. Such separation, as may well be said, becomes a virtuous bachelor and a maid. So far be distant, and good night, sweet friend. My love ne'er altered, till thy sweet life end.
Amen, amen to that fair prayer, say I, and that end love and loyalty. Ugh. Here's my bed, sleep get thee all his rest.
With half that wish, the wisher's eyes be fast.
Thank you, Mahir and Grace, for your virtual duet. That was awesome. Next, let's hear 8th grader from Mr. Wilson's class, Ellie Duffy, perform Helena's monologue from A Midsummer's Night's Dream. Right before this, Helena has just found out that her best friend Hermia is running off to marry the man of her dreams. However, the love of her own dreams, Helena's ex-boyfriend Demetrius, also loves Hermia. And Hermia's dad has said, yeah, he can marry her. It's all so complicated, but let's take a look. Enjoy!
How happy some or other some can be. Their Athens I am thought as fair as she. But what of that? Demetrius thinks not so. He will not know what all but he do know. And as he errs, doting on Hermia's eyes, so I, admiring of all his qualities, things base and vile holding no quantity, love can transpose to form and dignity. Love looks not with the eyes, but with the mind, and therefore is winged Cupid painted blind, nor hath love's mind of any judgment taste. Wings and no eyes figure unheedy haste. And therefore is love said to be a child, because in choice he is so oft beguiled. As waggish boys in game themselves forswear, so the boy love is perjured everywhere. For ere Demetrius looked on Hermia's eyne, and he hailed down oaths that he was only mine. And when this hail some heat from Hermia felt, So he dissolved, and shores of oaths did melt. I will go tell him of fair Hermia's flight, and then to the wood will he tomorrow night pursue her. And for this intelligence, if I have thanks, it is a dear expense. But Heron mean I to enrich my pain, to have his sight thither and back again.
I can't believe she's in 8th grade. Thank you, Ellie, for bringing that scene to life.
Now let's hear another 8th grader, Lana Kale, perform her poem Off Your Phone.
Hi, my name's Lana Kale, and today I'm reading my poem that's entitled Get Off Your Phone. I look over to my left and then to my right. Everyone is on their phone. It's like an addicting substance that people can't live without. People act like their phones are their only source of happiness. Just look around you in this beautiful city and there you'll find happiness. People can't even survive crossing over a busy road without looking at who Snapchatted them or who follow requested them on Instagram. It's not a big deal. You're at dinner with your grandparents and you can't even look up to see them because you're too busy on your phone. You're at dinner with your whole family and you decide that your phone is a better option. You're at dinner and you just play Fortnite the whole time while your aunt's asking about how your day was. These are real life problems and no one cares about your phone at the end. Get off your phone and look straight into your grandparents' eyes and have a conversation. Get off your phone and talk instead of always texting. Get off your phone and finish that conversation about your day with your aunt. One day, when these loved ones are gone, you're going to regret never having that conversation with your loved ones because you were too addicted to your phone. You're going to regret not being social with your family, but the one thing you won't regret is losing that game of Fortnite. You're not going to care in 30 years if you lost that game, but you will care in 30 years when you lose the loved ones you never said a proper goodbye to. Thank you.
These days, it can be hard to get off our devices. Definitely a topical issue. Thanks so much for enlightening us, Lana. Next, we'll be hearing senior Rahul Ajmera reading his poem In Tandem, which for reference can be found on page 134.
Hello everyone, my name is Rahul Ajmera. I'm a senior here at the Wheatley School, and every year since the 8th grade I've been participating in the Vintage Coffee House, and this is definitely a bittersweet moment, to be very honest, and I just want to thank everyone, the Vintage staff, definitely Podrick, Mr. Wilson, Dr. Feeney, everyone for all their support in making this happen, even with the current situations with the global pandemic. And today I will share with you all a poem I wrote about my father and my relationship with him, and it's called In Tandem. And creases his forehead. He rings the bell in triumph to announce to the world that he is here to stay, and here to rise. The bell echoes in the solitude of summiting, the sound waves oscillating into his cornea, wave by wave. He leaps into the body of his father, the waves washing him ashore onto his father's consciousness. He hustles through the bazaars of Old Delhi, zooming through the steam that whirls above noodle walks and street food stands. Mounted upon the seat of a red lady's bike, a relic from 2 generations prior, a bygone era, a bag of flour and milk bucks across the back wheel as he jets on through markets. He races the moon to reach the India Gate first, revolving his ankles in a hysteria. Addictive. The bike bell still rings in his ear.
And to the stars that poem took me. Thanks, Rahul. Now let's hear senior and future Cornell freshman Rebecca Sparacio perform her poem, The Court is a Theater, which describes the theatrics of trial and aura of the all-powerful judge.
Hi, my name is Rebecca, and this is a poem that I wrote called The Court is a Theater. It was inspired by my experience on the mock trial team. She tips the scale, she wears the robe, the mighty, mighty, mighty robe, the robe of truth. The robe is truth, and truth the robe. There's justice with a gavel's graceful bang. The jury, a choir, chants the law of the layman as the judge plucks the string of the harp and the bars of the cage. The court is a theater. The court is a prison. The court is a theater, and she's in the audience. She watches the man on trial, center stage, brown hair, bright eyes, his heart contritely bleeds. Great guilt can lead to any heart's demise. She watches lawyers become actors, actors indebted to the guilty. They keep great guilt bestowed beneath the stage. She stands at the end of the theatrical exchange, applauds when spotlights fade to darkness. It's divine to see a man set free. She celebrates a faulty system, for fault can free a guilty man. The court is a theater where justice won't always be just, where freedom ensues. The jury sings the song of innocence to the rhythm of doubt, and she presides. The curtains close. Congrats, Vintage, on all your hard work.
Wow, I could never do mock trial. Thanks, Rebecca. Next, we have an amazing documentary made by 8th grader Ben Crittman. It's called Stonewall Uprising and Chronicles, the beginning of the LGBTQ rights movement.
There are a lot of kids here. And if we catch you with a homosexual, the rest of your life will be a living hell. And you will be caught. Don't think you won't be.
In the 1960s, even as the civil rights movement and women's liberation came to a forefront of American society, homosexuals were trapped, unable to love or express their true feelings openly. Homosexuals were not accepted by their families and society, and they were the victim of police harassment and church condemnation, which created an impenetrable barrier to leading an emotionally stable and loving life. They often felt isolated and lonely, with nowhere else to meet others in their community. But there were gay bars, which were havens and provided safe refuge. The Stonewall Inn, a gay bar in New York City, like most gay bars, was often raided by police. On June 28, 1969, the police once again raided the Stonewall, but this time was different. Instead of cooperating during the arrest, the lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender bar patrons fought back. This rebellion became the first step in breaking the barrier and creating a hope for change and solidarity for the LGBTQ people. From that point, onward activism laid the groundwork for the long but eventually successful legalization of same-sex marriage and anti-discrimination laws based on sexual orientation. In the 1960s, the United States struggled to understand and accept LGBT people. Homosexuality was considered a crime by government officials, a sin by religious leaders, and a form of mental illness by medical professionals. Intimidating factors convinced most LGBT individuals to keep their sexual orientation carefully hidden in an effort to avoid discrimination and persecution. Homosexuality has always been a target of government regulation because of religious influence and conservative ideals. In 1953, President Dwight Eisenhower signed an Executive Order 10450 stating that LGBT people were not permitted to work in the military or federal government. During the late 50s and 60s, while the Vietnam War was raging, the government instilled Americans with a fear of communism and projected homosexuals equally as sinister. J. Edgar Hoover, the director of the FBI, developed plans to expose gays. The plan instructed employers to expose anyone who they suspected might be gay. It was an effort to silence them. It was an effort to ruin their lives. In 1952, the American Psychological Association classified homosexuality as a mental illness. Thousands of gay men and women were subjected to psychiatric treatment or even committed to mental hospitals. Some LGBT people were forced to take hormones or undergo surgical procedures, including lobotomies, hysterectomies, or castration, with the goal of eliminating the desire for same-sex relationships. Churchgoers believed homosexuality was a sin. Billy Graham, an American evangelist, the spiritual advisor for 12 presidents, claimed all homosexuals should be castrated. The legal, medical, religious, and social forces that were aligned against homosexuality convinced most LGBT people to keep their sexual orientation a carefully guarded secret. They were afraid of being rejected by their families, and they were afraid of becoming the victims of insult, humiliation, or violence. Because of these conditions during the 1950s and 1960s, LGBT people migrated to larger cities like New York, seeking companionship and a more liberal environment. But even in New York, there was still discrimination. Homosexuals faced persecution from private anti-vice societies, city officials, and law enforcement authorities who viewed homosexuality as immoral. New York City police confiscated gay literature, closed down theaters that showed plays or movies with gay themes, enforced laws that prohibited cross-dressing, and conducted countless raids on gay bars. Martha P. Johnson, an African American trans woman who made her living as a sex worker, was harassed often by police. Because of her open sexual orientation, she was beaten and even shot. Miss Johnson later became the spark that ignited the riots at the Stonewall Inn. For many years, LGBT people felt powerless to organize or unite because they were not willing to risk having their sexual orientation exposed publicly. In Greenwich Village, LGBT people often congregated at the Stonewall Inn, a gay bar that provided a haven and refuge for homosexuals. The mafia was involved in running gay bars to take advantage of a business opportunity. Since most other establishments refused to serve LGBT people, the mafia bosses felt that offering a place for them to socialize, dance, and drink was a good way to make money. To avoid conflict with law enforcement, mafia leaders paid bribes to police officers from the local 6th Precinct, where the Stonewall Inn was located. Since 1969 was an election year, the mayor of New York City, John Lindsay, decided to show voters that he was committed to cleaning up the city streets. He encouraged the police department to increase the arrest of prostitutes, drug dealers, homeless people, and homosexuals. As a result, gay bars continue to be a major target of law enforcement, with 5 police raids taking place during a 3-week period in June of 1969 at gay bars like the Stonewall Inn. On June 28, 1969, at 1:20 in the morning, detectives and police entered the crowded Stonewall Inn without warning. As soon as the police announced their presence and showed their badges, the customers stopped dancing. Seymour Pine, a lead New York Police Department detective, commented, "There was no instructions except put them out of business." This time, bar patrons said, "We're not going. That's it. We're not going." At that moment, Martha P. Johnson stood up and threw a shot glass, smashing bottles of liquor. Bar patrons and LGBT people were fed up and took to the streets to riot. By daybreak, hundreds were rioting. Police barricaded themselves inside the building, waiting for reinforcement. The rioters grabbed anything they could, a rock, a bottle, or a brick, and threw it at the police in the building. In an effort to kill the police inside the building, they lit the building on fire. They chanted "Gay Power" and "Get the Mafia out of the bars." News of the Stonewall riots spread quickly through television reports, newspaper articles, and word of mouth. By the end of the week, thousands were rioting for their basic civil rights. Newspapers including the Village Voice and the New York Daily News were imprinting inflammatory headlines such as "The Forces of Faggotry" and other homophobic slurs, which energized the rioters to protest. Mayor Lindsay ordered all police enforcement away in an effort to end the situation. In all, the rioters lasted 6 days. As the LGBT citizens gained national attention, they felt empowered to join together. A movement was born.
Gay Liberation Front was born of the ashes of Stonewall Liberation Front. And with Gay Liberation Front, we changed the whole gay world.
The protest encouraged LGBT people across the country to speak out and demand equality. Before Stonewall, gay people were afraid to come together and organize, or march down the street for any kind of protest. The Gay and Lesbian Alliance Against Defamation, GLAAD, was founded in 1985 to promote fair portrayals of LGBT people and eliminate harmful stereotypes. Queer Nation, a direct action protest group founded in Greenwich Village in 1990, used a variety of aggressive tactics in an effort to increase LGBT visibility and combat homophobia. To recognize this inclusion, the letter Q, now added for those who identify as queer or questioning their sexual identity. An opposition movement led by an outspoken group of evangelical Christians arose in the 1980s to condemn LGBT people as immoral and denounce gay rights as a threat to traditional family values. The emergence of AIDS in the early 1980s dealt another blow to the struggle for full equality and acceptance of LGBT people in American society. The fear and uncertainty that prevailed during the early years of the epidemic launched a fresh wave of homophobia and discrimination. With the emergence of AIDS as a public health crisis, doctors noticed it was predominantly appearing in gay men. The U.S. Centers of Disease Control commented, "The fact that those patients were all homosexuals suggests an association between some aspect of homosexual lifestyle or disease acquired through sexual contact." Once sodomy laws were ruled unconstitutional in 2003, many activists from the Stonewall era began to consider marriage equality, the final frontier in the LGBT rights movement. On June 26, 2015, the U.S. Supreme Court struck down all state bans on same sex marriage, legalized it in all 50 states, and required states to honor out the same sex marriage license in the case Obergefell v. Hodges.
Breaking news from the US Supreme Court, which has said that same-sex couples have a constitutional right to marry.
On June 24, 2016, President Barack Obama officially designated the Stonewall Monument, making it the United States' first national monument designated for an LGBTQ historic site. The six-day uprising on the streets of Greenwich Village sparked a movement and broke the gay rights barrier, but the struggle for full equality and acceptance has still not been achieved. But because of the actions at Stonewall on that historic morning, the LGBTQ people can now band together to promote and protect the lives and human rights that they deserve.
What an inspiring film. Now here's Alia Yaman, our treasurer, to introduce the next piece.
Next, let's hear Skylar, another senior and future Purchase College freshman, perform Untitled.
Is one of my favorite styles to both read and write. The piece I will be sharing with you is an original short story I wrote as a supplemental for actually my dream school and the school I will be attending in the fall, SUNY Purchase. This piece is untitled. The day is sunny. Two teens sit on a bench in a field of flowers. One is a boy in a t-shirt and jeans. One is a girl in a short skirt and a tank top. They are not talking. We need to talk about it. I've been waiting for you to tell me what it is all day. The boy started. No. Why? Because I don't want to. Why? Because I hate what happened. I don't want to talk about it. I'm sorry, but we need to talk about what happened. Why do you care so much? Because I care about you. You're hurting. But this doesn't concern you. You concern me. I care for you. Don't care for me. I'm not worth it. Yes, you are. The girl rolled her eyes. Her lip is bleeding from biting it. I can't tell him. It will hurt him too much, she thought. The boy looked at his hand. Why won't she tell me what happened? Last week, he thought. He takes an old photo out of his pocket. He smiles. What's that? The girl reaches for it. The boy lets her take it. It's my favorite picture of us. OMG, this is from Chuck E. Cheese. We were 5 years old. Why do you still have this? Because it is us. It has always been us against the world since we were 5. Let me help you, please. No, you don't want to know. Just let it go. The girl walks away. The boy looks at the photo. He sighs. He pulls and puts the photo away. He looks at the direction that the girl left. Then he left. The day is sunny. 2 teens are in high school. One is a boy in a t-shirt and jeans. One is a girl in an oversized sweatshirt and sweatpants. They are not talking. Are you ready to talk now? The boy leans against the girl's locker. Her eyes roll. No, leave me alone. She closes her locker. Don't make me do it. If you do it, I'll kill you. The girl's death stares at the boy. He gives her a mysterious grin. How are you doing today, my best friend? The boy starts to shout. The kids look at them. The girl hits the boy. She hates when people look at her. He smiles at her. If you stop it, I'll tell you soon. Soon it will be. The girl closes her locker and walks away. He sighs. He looks at the direction where the girl left. Then he leaves. The day is raining. 2 teens are in a church. One is a boy in a suit. 1. A girl in a coffin. No one is talking. I wish she would have talked to me. The boy is standing at the podium. He looks at the girl. She is wearing her favorite dress. She looks at peace. He takes out the photo from his pocket. A tear rolls down his cheek. He looks at the picture. He shows it to the church. She was my best friend. Since we were 5, it has always been us against the world. I didn't know what was going on. I wish I did. He places the photo in the coffin. He looks at the direction the girl lies. Then he leaves. Thank you.
Thanks, Skylar. That was great. We can't wait to see what you will create in Purchase's art program.
Next we have Anya Chabria reading her poem Betrayal. Quite the versatile writer, she's always sure to impress with her level of detailed description. For reference, her poem can be found on page 127.
Hi everyone, my name's Anya and I'm going to do a reading of my poem Betrayal. I don't have access to the magazine yet, so I can't really give you a page number myself, But in case you want to read along, I'm just going to wait for a few moments so you can go to the table of contents and find the poem and the page number yourself. Once again, the title of my poem is Betrayal. Okay. It is not a heart-to-heart if there is no heart on the other end. The smile is not kind when you can see the sharpness of its edge, and the words do not reveal what the soul wishes to conceal. Sing your song, rhythm chaser, and maybe we will get along. Recite your script, rhythm chaser, mend the page that's long been ripped, and take your chance, rhythm chaser. But you will never have this stance. Okay, that's all. Thank you. Congratulations, Vintage, and I hope everybody's doing okay.
Thanks, Lania. That was great. I'm so excited to see what you'll do senior year. Now let's hear Shruti, who will be singing Rise Up by Andra Day.
Long hours and a few dying flowers, but you never seem to stick around. How could you let something so good go to waste and bleed the colors out? You don't know what you got till it's gone, know when it's right till it's wrong. In search of perfect when you had it with you all along. You broke her heart down with ease, now I'm picking up every piece. You must be so hard to please. I wish I could say thank you for all the mistakes, thank you for all of the pain. I guess somebody else's loss is another's gain. I'm saying thank you to the one who let her get away. She gave you love, but it wasn't enough. You had your mind set on other things. Can't sleep at night, now you're paying the price. You let another come and take your place. You don't know what you got till it's gone, know when it's right till it's wrong. In search of perfect when you had it with you all along. You broke her heart down with ease, now I'm picking up every piece. You must be so hard to please. I wish I could say thank you for all the mistakes, thank you for all of the pain. I guess somebody else's loss is another's gain. I'm saying thank you to the one who let her get away. Thank you to the one who caused her heart to break. I'm thanking you for giving me a soul to save. Thank you to the one who let her get away. You know I wish I could say thank you for all the mistakes, thank you for all of the pain. I guess somebody else's loss is another's. Oh, I wish I could say thank you for all the mistakes, thank you for all of the pain. I guess somebody else's loss is another's gain. I'm saying thank you to the one who let her get away.
Thanks, Shruti. You sound fantastic. I love seeing you every year in the Wheatley Theatre Company productions. Now let's hear Allie perform an excerpt from Rebecca Clark Viola Sonata Movement 1 from her college pre-screening tapes. She'll be attending Eastman School of Music in the fall. wish I sounded like that when I played viola. Now I'll be performing my piece, Isula Deltacha. Hi, I'm Padraig, and I'm going to be reading my poem, Isula Deltacha, which for reference can be found on page 99 of the magazine. And so basically, the title, Isula Deltacha, means in starry eyes, and the poem refers to what happens when I'm finally able to fall asleep late at night, and kind of what I experience like in my mind, like in while I'm dreaming, or like kind of the journey from being awake and fully conscious to then being in like a dream sort of state, like during sleep. So yeah, thank you. When in dark silent hours I sit restless in bed, and my piercing blank stare blurs to fog, the sky itself flies through the window into my dreary eyes, and that's how the stars take hold. When rippling steps are trodden through eternity above, hold tight all tethers and anchor to the shore, lest be swallowed by the void and the monsters it hides. Tonight my mind is the labyrinth and I the minotaur, wandering aimlessly till something makes sense, wondering hopelessly till I resurface again, and all the walls crumble. With floorboards now set back in place, the sky has left my eyes, and the stars let go control. In moments spent past the mist, don't ask me what I see, for what's beyond the veil is not mine to tell. A darkling form whispers and cracks between the maze, from the deepest depths within, but he's strict, you see. His promises I keep, I'll never share, I'll never speak. To my grave the secrets go. As the night carries on and I drift away, he possesses me. The once barren floors, as gray as a winter sun, spawn rolling hills sweet with the smell of swaying grass. The chimes sound as the cold sets in, and I see him across the valley. He beckons with golden eyes and an eerie smile. He is the master of this realm, this endless dream-filled haze, and to my fate tonight he holds the key. Ether of Morpheus I do it deem, and so, beneath the night, I gleam. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Charlotte Iannone and I'll be reading my poem Heart Attack today. Okay. I brought it in that afternoon. My coiled batting eyelashes blushed bloom. Bashful, silly, delusional even, I had twisted it from its perched branch and cradled it, my prize, my trophy, a deer's head, a lion's paw, in my shivering palms. Nervous and anxious, yet determined to please, or appease if you judge through another window pane less foggy, and led by youth's impatient step. Frostbitten, midnight flake, and Jack's fair eyes, the temperature always put my words on ice, sentences nailed to wood, phrases dipping towards madness and blue panic. For a moment, I attempted a thaw, an opportunity, dripping icicles, a sweet bite of lamb, lion locked away. All I received was an act, a polyester smile, plastic lips upon my still hand, and a forged, silent apology. My skin cracked, then blistered, then broke. My voice stifled, then screamed, then spoke, and petal after petal, soft peachy silk, saccharine scent, supple salmon shade lunged for the floor in the hopes of salvaging what little dignity could be scraped from the crannies of my spurned heart. Oh, what a fool to subscribe to! What misery she must birth, angry, vengeful, and red! What punishment she must etch into her skin, her sins minute but all-consuming, her tears abundant but with petty root. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Joyce. That was amazing. Now we'll have the editor of photography in Vintage, Maya Kale, reading her poem, Dancing with the Trees.
Hi everyone, my name is Maya Kale, and today I will be reading my poem, Dancing with the Trees. When you feel the sea breeze through the tall trees, the seagulls flying overhead like an airplane flying to the Big Apple, the sails letting them creep them towards the Drogsneck Bridge, I hear the noise of the young children playing tag and swinging on the swings, laughing. The tall trees screaming with the wind as the red and orange leaves fall while the birds sing in chorus. I love autumn, the cool, crisp, and fresh air. Always live your best moments dancing with the trees. Thank you so much. Stay strong, Wheatley, and congratulations to the class of 2020.
Hi, I'm Kate. I'm a sophomore. Now we'll be hearing Malia again reading her poem, The Petals She Threw into a Bowl Filled with Honey.
The second poem is from the latest magazine, and you can check the table of contents for the page to follow along. This poem is called The Petals She Threw into a Bowl Filled with Honey. I still remember the day I saw a girl on campus clutching a large bouquet of sunflowers. I couldn't help but feel pity for her from my place under the shadow of a tree. Lowering the sunflowers, she crumpled under her own tree, and tears slipped down, a rain shower. She grasped her bag and pulled from it a wooden bowl and a bottle of honey. She dried her tears and finally took one deep breath and immersed herself in the verdure she sat in. She dragged the leg up and relaxed her chin on her knee. With one arm wrapped around her leg, the other worked occupied, trying to get the bottle of honey to open. She squeezed the bottle of its contents until the bowl was filled with it, and all you could smell, even from my distant tree, was the pleasant fragrance of the nectar. With a bittersweet smile, she pulled a flower from the bouquet, and without another glance at its state, she started tearing it. She rested her hand on her bicep, and now lazily with both hands, she thoughtfully picked the petals and placed them in the bowl. Sometimes she'd pause and see if they'd plunge, and other times she'd just keep ripping petals out one by one and watched as they piled up on each other. I never thought the carnage of sunflowers, the flowers born on cloud 9, could ever look so beautiful. She stopped crying for now, but with that smile of hers, it looked as if she were sobbing out all the rivers in the world, flooding herself in tears. The bowl was filled with one layer of honey, and the second layer, an oversized one of sun-kissed petals. Such pure things have never seemed so sickeningly sweet until now. Such pure things. I would go to her and offer my condolences for her melted heart, but it would do no good. I knew what was wrong, so I couldn't be bothered to act curious. I never thought a display of a dying heart could look so defeated. It was a dying heart after all, and the damsel had not taken care of it. She let the petals drown in honey, where they lay defenseless against the love of their life, the perfect pair. She let her heart drown in honey, where it lay defenseless against the love of her life. But her love would never consider her their love. Oh, how bold of her to assume that they were the perfect pair. Thank you.
Great job again, Malia. Thank you everyone for tuning in, and that concludes our 2020 Vintage Coffee House. The official printed magazine will be available for pickup on June 10th at Wheatley by either using Venmo, letting them know it's for the magazine, or by cash in person. I just want to again express my gratitude to the club for such an amazing year, and again for letting me be their editor-in-chief. So thanks again, and of course a giant thank you goes out to Mr. Wilson for helping organize just about everything from the magazine to this coffee house to weekly meetings to everything. Thank you so much for your help. So yeah, thank you.
On behalf of Vintage, we hope that everyone is staying safe and healthy, and we hope to see you all very soon. Thank you so much for tuning into the virtual coffee house this year. We hope you all enjoyed. Happy magazine reading, and congratulations to the class of 2020. Stay strong, Wheatley. You guys are all great. I hope to see you all very soon. Have a good night.
Next, we have a very special tribute. Each year, Vintage must say goodbye to the seniors of our club as they graduate. and the next generation of Vintage leadership begins to step into their roles, ensuring Vintage's long literary and creative tradition will continue. We generally acknowledge our seniors at our annual coffee house at 11 Bacon Road. Though it's unfortunate we cannot physically be together tonight, 6 members of our club have prepared a little surprise for our seniors. I myself say goodbye to the Vintage class of 2020. Alia Yamin, Vintage's treasurer and this year's recipient of the Rosemary Bartull Poetry Award. Ali Keller, our editor-at-large, who will be attending the Eastman School of Music. Madison Ramos, whose poems and literary insight stun us all. And Padraig Brady, who has literally put in hundreds of hours to ensure Vintage's 50th anniversary magazine would not disappoint. To all of you, thank you. Another surprise is headed your way, but for now, here's a little something special your grateful club members have prepared for you.
Seniors, thank you for everything you offer to Vintage.
We will truly miss you, though we are excited for you as you take your next steps into college.
Your presence has been what has made Vintage, Vintage.
Thank you for leaving behind an incredible club.
We hope to maintain the atmosphere you've created and bring in more people to experience what you have built.
Remember us in the future and keep writing yourselves.
Although this 50th anniversary wasn't ideal, the work you've still put into the club online has kept it alive for us now and for years to come.
Never forget the impacts you have made on not only our club and magazine, but our lives as a family of writers.
Thank you for sticking by us and helping us learn and further love Vintage.
Although it is heartbreaking you have to go, it's exciting to think of this new chapter lying ahead of you.
So thank you for being there for us. We're excited for your next adventure.
Congratulations.
Congratulations
to
the class of 2020.
And that concludes this year's Coffee House. I'd like to give one last shout out to absolutely everyone who has contributed to the magazine or this evening's performance, especially Vintage's Maya Kale with her incredible editing skills. On behalf of all of us at Vintage, thank you for joining us. We have not allowed COVID-19 or America's current social unrest to deter us from our creative mission. And we hope you won't either. Pick up an instrument, or start making a film, write a poem or a short story, paint something. Let others see what you're thinking and feeling. Art has the power to lift us beyond seemingly insurmountable circumstances. And when we harness our creative spirit collectively in an attitude of what is good and equitable for all humanity, the possibilities are endless. Good night. Oh, and we do have one last performance.
If we shadows have offended, think but this and all is mended, that you have but slumbered here while these visions did appear. And this weekend idle theme, no more yielding than a dream. Gentles, do not reprehend. If you pardon, we will mend. And, as I am an honest puck, if we have unearned luck, not escape the serpent's tongue, we will make amends ere long. Else, the puck a liar call. So good night unto you all. Give me your hands, if we be friends, and Robin shall restore amends.